working space that is also a exhibition hall or something like that, like a trade show hall, a huge space. Has an like auditorium right inside of it. It has a lot of elements to it, and it's a fashion trade show, so it's like has some elements of people like, or the companies forgot their trade show
basically
materials,
an appreciation
like
of like,
bags,
like fresh raw materials and also like culture around food. She was like today, and she had access to the knowledge that we have. Talks about the pyramid of matrices and trauma around birth, how some people when they go into like outer states remember that kind of trauma. So if you
and I feel like home there very much.
But there was something else that I wanted to say about them.
Sharing some of the most like
I'm about to leave somewhere to London, I believe. I need to visit London. And this one of those things that I fell asleep. And when I had to meet friends.
So I drink water, do the sun exercise, and the third one is the dancing to my favorite tune. And I change them regularly, but it's very important to move the body because I do a lot of work sitting down. I write really powerful dancing tunes. Usually we play. And by the way, I have the Riverside. I have the
pediatrician, I guess is the right word. And he what like feeding them, and like when he found out, he's like, no, you can't do that. Like you have to like start like feeding them like more eggs and more meat and all that stuff. Like then you need to have to now in their growth like some usually there's like in their French and olive oil, at least like the pita bread. United States coming back to Greece with respect to like food and how it relates to nutrition has to do with especially quality materials, right? Like everybody, all my friends who come to Greece and like taste like tomatoes or fruits, like keeps telling me like how they taste differently here, and they do, because they're actually made differently most of the times. How the organic movement, like things are way better now than they used to be, at least in the United States. So I think the health aspect of food in the Mediterranean diet is important, but there's also like how that is integrated into wider sort of like social practice that adds to health in general, rather than just like nutrition, like eating disconnected.
Get out of your head, Alexandros. You never talk too much. Never. Okay, and thank you. This is great because I agree that what I heard is that you added not only the aspect of the diet itself, and of course the effect of industrialization and progress on the quality of food, and also you've mentioned that the values of mom and their current like discoveries might not be what's the best for the children at the time of them growing up. Consult a professional and have an outsider's perspective on what's happening, but also you've mentioned the social aspect and how that affects also health. I'm imagining on all levels, right? On of course the mental health level and emotional connection and energy sharing and physical, and then the food being the connecting factor.
But to be fair, basically, my mom, she was trying to like apply cutting edge, what she thought was cutting edge knowledge that she brought from abroad back to Greece, right? That was her intention. It wasn't like to make us feel weak. It's just that I think the state of knowledge around vegetarianism at the time wasn't what it is today. So, she basically applied something that on further thought wasn't like efficient or wasn't as wholesome. And I think she was living today and she had access to the knowledge that we have today around like plant-based diets. She probably would have done a better job at it. But you know, was guided by the intentions, but the state of knowledge back then, or what she knew, or what she understood about it, was just not advanced enough for it to be as good as it could have been today. So I just want to be fair to my mom because it's great.
Your mom is
Your
great.
mom is
Yes,
great.
no, definitely.
Your mom is perfect.
Your mom is great. It's all perfect. But it's just though what I'm trying to say is what I'm hearing is that it's also important to have a second opinion, you know, on what's happening, and to have a little bit of more of an expert weighed in as well on how the diet is at any point. Okay, but what about the environment itself? Like, for example, when I stayed in your place, I woke up with the sound of the sea. You know, and it was some of the most important, I guess, experiences in my life, because I keep, you know, resonating it in my head and in my heart, seeing how much nurture energy I felt from the sound, the frequency, right, and the sound of the waves. What's your experience with, I guess it's like a weird question, but with a sound in your life, and how you think a sound
So
is
different in
affecting
life,
your
huh?
health?
My brother told me that when you sleep to the sea, the sounds of the waves resemble the amniotic fluid when you're a baby in your mother's womb. And you know, this maybe like I was like, you know, ears are not
You know,
developed.
like I feel
when you're
like
a
men
baby,
really
but
don't
maybe
appreciate
like
this body,
some
you know?
aspect of
Like
your
the body of a
consciousness,
woman. Like I don't
is
understand
kind of like
how you think that our
like resonating
voices
with those
are
sounds,
not
because it
more
reminds you of a
important
safe
than
place.
yours.
Like the womb being a safe place. I mean, now we know more about like, you know, what like, basically explain way more about the work they did. I mean, especially like to read some of the work of like Stanislav Grof, talks about the perinatal matrices and, you know, trauma around birth, and how some people when they go into like outer states remember that kind of trauma. So if you can remember like, you know, stuff that happened in your womb, then, you know, it makes sense to make that point with respect to the sound of the city and the amniotic fluid. No, it's a hypothesis, but like thought it was interesting to just like air. I mean, irrespective of whether that's true or not, it is great, right? I mean, when you sleep next to the sea, you feel like you're traveling like you're on a boat, and
I wish you let me in
so
again at some point.
you're sleeping basically to a place that kind of like symbolizes through sounds that very thing. It adds a sort of like, I would say, poetic like hue to your own experience. In the same way that if you know were to sleep in a forest and you like wake up and hear all the birds, right?
I'd rather die.
Actually, there was actually research before this, like that said that there was a correlation between your level of happiness and the amount of birds singing like out of you in your life. Let me try to see if I can actually find it. It was just fascinating. So, you know, there's definitely like a correlation between sound and health, and I guess I'll say I found it. Did find it. Okay, so found the paper. Well, I don't know whether like the audience can actually see what's on the chat. You know.
Put the link in chat. Okay, check it out later.
Alright, so the study basically was from King's College London, right? And like the short version of it is like people are happy when they hang out with birds and they hear like birds singing. Put it on the chat. People can like click and like go to the actual like study there. So we know. And like we ask people and they know it themselves, but there was one thing that I wanted to add to this about the sound. What was it? Birds. It's interesting because like my mind like gave me another thought, that had Louis Schopenhauer. She said basically that the level of culture in a in any society is related to the amount of sound that there's on the public streets. His rationale, I think it was Paraga and Paralipomena, his rationale was that, like, you know, a thinking culture would not have like lots of sounds because sounds essentially interrupt concentration. So he basically like made that like, you know, observation that, you know, the more sound we have, basically the probably less at least cerebral culture you're in. But there was something else that I wanted to say about sound that had to do with health. It's gonna come up later. It was important though.
It never
And
came up later,
even
well, Alexandros.
frequency.
Better
Sound
come
can
up at
raise
some
your
point.
personal frequency, right? It's like,
Yeah, maybe like expand on like that, and maybe like we'll come to later.
All right, you just so you know, I'm using
Just so you know. Let's see.
the other part I do is when there is a sun in London, because there's not much sun daily, but when there is one, I stand outside in my garden and I do the
Все
very
пройдет
simple,
вместе,
sun
ты и
breathing
я.
exercise that I love. And exercise is
Вместе ты и я.
you close your eyes and you look at the sun with your left eye when it's closed, and then you breathe in through your
Yeah.
eye, really like this,
Услышу голос
and then you
твой.
turn and you do the same thing with the right eye.
Я за
And
тобой.
then you close in the middle, and then you breathe in with your third
Я
eye.
отыщу тебя.
And you feel how the energy of the sun goes through you, and it's like a little
Я
guard
отыщу
exercise.
тебя.
Yeah, so I drink the water and do the sun exercise. And the third one is the dancing to my favorite tune. And I change them regularly, but it's very important to move the body because I do a lot of work sitting down. I write, I do business, so it's like super tense. In order for me to charge, I do it with my girls actually. We call it bottom power. I don't know why, but it's called bottom power.
Because it smells.
And this bottom power exercise includes really powerful dancing tunes. Usually we play Day Together, or my other favorite is Moves Like Jagger. And yeah, we do it we give our best, and the moves are really funny, and then I'm ready to face my day, doesn't matter what comes. And by the way, I have the Riverside perfect, but it's something I want to give people a choice, and I want this to be a way to realize you can test it with anything. Actually, you can test if this food is good for you or not good for you. That's just by simply by
First the
holding your
movement,
hand
and then the food.
smelling it, and then
You realize.
eating it, and see the strength.
First the movement.